Roger Bannister ran a 4-minute mile. Sir Edmund Hillary climbed Everest. If someone's done it, then maybe I can too. Abraham Maslow defined actualization, but who do you know that actually has done it? There has never been a better time in history to deal with self-awareness than during a lockdown, a stay-at-home order, the global pandemic. A bold point I'm trying to make: if Daniel says he has summited his personal Everest, and I see that it's possible with this circumstance and timing, and well, then maybe it's possible for me. Absolutely. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to help you understand that I believe this is what it is to be self-aware, is that you don't get drowned by the waves of life, that you're actually able to be generous, lavish with your time and your compassion and consideration for others, in spite of you being in the same situation. There's a saying that goes, hope deferred makes the heart sick. What that means is, when you've had your hope on something that turns out that it's not going to happen, or that it's just not now, it can really discourage you. It can be used as the glue to stick another artifact onto a false belief. We want to pry those off. We want to undo that. And triangulation will really help. Let's start with a compass. There's 360 degrees in a compass. And these are all incremented off to the number of degrees all the way around. Okay? So if you want to know where you might be in the ocean out here, what you do is you look for as many landmarks as possible. So you might find, somewhere over here that it would be a hilltop, Hope Hill. And somewhere off in this direction, there might be, let's say, a steeple sticking up on a church. That would be Faith. And then somewhere here in the, if this is heading north, somewhere in the south, there might be a landmark that we'll call Fact. So what you do is you get out your drawings, your charts, and from each of these things you go, well, from me to that hope, to that hill, is kind of over in this direction on the compass, and to Faith is sort of over there, and from the angle that we see on the compass to Fact is over there. Because you have three, you know fairly well you're inside of this little triangle. Notice that location leaves you beached, right? You're not even in the water. But that's Commencement Bay, and this is Scotomaville. The thought occurs to me that 3 points of reference for triangulation are basic for confidence in your location. 2, if you've got a partner, a coach, a mentor, something like that, that can help substantially from being solo. 1 point of reference, and if you don't have traction, like you're blown offshore on your surfboard or your floaty device, and you can only see the island to paddle back to, but you've just run out of energy, man, most of America knows what that's like right now. Loss of hope, loss of faith, and no traction, no finances, fear dominant in that lower section. So do everything you can to find a second point of location, your minion, your tribe, your peer group, your support group, whatever you want to call it, a second point of reference. And a third point, get some traction, get some history, look to what you've done or other people have done and follow them. Do that. That'll really help. Triangulation is a really terrific model, exercise, or process to go through to be able to flip yourself from disappointment and despair and discouragement and possibly even depression. It's a really good tool to apply when you're lost, when you don't know truth from fiction, and that you're having an amygdala hijacking. It's a really good way to use fact, evidence-based data to be able to restore your hope and get you moving using faith. When you have one point of reference, it's a long stretch. It's a long way. If you're a solopreneur, it can be really, really tough. 2 points of reference, a partnership, you can help support each other. Things become a little more certain. When you get to 3, much, much better, much clearer. Facts, evidence, so much helps things. When you have sales, traction, experience, you've done something before. The second time of doing it's easy. The first time, you don't have that. It's uncomfortable. You don't know where you're going. Someone's never been there before, right? So 3 points of reference really helps you make progress, because not only do you have hope that it could happen, and you have faith that you're going to persevere and put in the work and be able to get there, but now you have evidence. Things are changing. Living in uncertainty with only 2 of them is a grind. It's really tough. Most people slip down into depression, or at least into not taking action, and then they just lose hope, and all kinds of bad outcomes from there. I want you to chart a pathway to your personal Everest. I usually start with the facts. I usually remind myself of the evidence, the data. Before Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile, humans didn't think it was possible. In fact, experts and authorities proclaimed it was absolutely not possible for a human to run a mile in less than 4 minutes, and then Roger Bannister did. And now that's the standard. Everyone should be able to run a 4-minute mile if you're serious about being a runner. How about if you're a climber? Until Sir Edmund Hillary summited Everest, nobody could. And now that's become a regular expedition that you pay to be shuttled up. And there are some unbelievable successes at that. How about personal awareness? Who do you know? Who do you have access to that has actually become self-aware from a position of horrible beginnings? Almost every one of you are experiencing for the first time this social distancing. And I realized the other day, it's no big deal for me. Why? Well, here's my backstory. You remember The Scarlet Letter, right? The classic book. I wore that label of illegitimate moral leper in the Catholic Church. That's taken most of my life to unwind. I was conceived in the back seat on the wrong side of the tracks. In 1955, I was raised by a 16-year-old mother. Well, I was abandoned. Well, I've never known my genetic father. My stepfather was a son of an only son of a Marine drill instructor. I was raised in the Catholic Church, and I learned social distancing from as early as I can remember. The reason is I'm called illegitimate. I'm unwanted. These are labels from both the church and my parent. My mom for 6 years, and then my stepdad for all my teen years. Unwanted, illegitimate, moral and social leper. They put a label on it later, 15, 20 years ago, called Asperger, highly functional. Aside from the way that I was ostracized or special, I carried that belief through school years when I didn't get picked for teams. That was why. I thought in the military, when there were no bunks for me in the nuclear submariner program, so I was sent to a conventional diesel destroyer. That was more confirmation of my origins. When I applied for the flight navigator school, one day too old, when they finally finished the paperwork, disqualified. Well, there was more baggage. I applied for the astronaut training program, for the early shuttle program, and was accepted. And then got dropped because I was not a minority. Again, I took it as, wow. You see, there's confirmation. I fell off the glacier, broke my neck. More baggage. More false evidence appearing real. I've been an entrepreneur for 40-something years now. The pandemic, we've chosen to use our deposit money for our Airstream that's waiting for us in order to make payroll and to keep the business afloat and keep servicing the clients and making sure that their businesses are, and their psyche's not being bombed like it could be. So we've chosen to exhaust the deposit money, and we got the email that they're putting it back on the floor because we haven't come to pick it up during the pandemic. Okay, so I've heaped up all of these life experiences that go deeply, deeply down to my childhood, where I have believed most of my life in things that are not true and in social distancing because I am illegitimate, unwanted, an outsider, not one of us. You don't fit. You can't have what the others have, but you can work just as hard and harder. You see how that all works? It's not true. It was all based off of other people's fears and misunderstandings from childhood. You don't have to go there. You can understand why you do what you do. And triangulation can really work to make that happen. Triangulation can be applied in more than one way. At least two examples I've given you is, don't go it alone. Another application of it is, hope, faith, fact. Don't try to do any one of those entirely alone. Okay, I've given you an example of current events. Deeply rooted emotions being pulled out because of the possibility of misinterpreting events based on baggage. And here's how triangulation works on that. Part of my peer group provided insight that I did not have. Peter Diamandis recently shared that built into the astronaut recruiting process was a test to see if you would not accept rejection as the final answer, to see if you would persevere and reapply. And nearly everyone who flew applied multiple times. Who would have thought? You see, having a team around you can apply triangulation through the provision of new facts to slay old false beliefs. I recently finished a master class taught by astronaut Chris Hadfield, and here's what he has to share about current events and triangulation.
Hi, I'm Chris Hadfield. I've spent a little time self-isolating on board a spaceship. How are you doing with self-isolation? You know, it's an extremely dangerous environment up on board the space station, and yet we find a way to thrive and be productive that far away from our normal lives. We do it through 4 different things. Number 1, understand the actual risk. Don't just be afraid of things. Go to a credible source and find out what is truly the risk that you're facing right now. You, your family, your friends, the people that you care about. And then, what are you trying to accomplish? What are your objectives? You know, what's your mission for right now? Make that clear for this afternoon, for this week, for the next month. What do you want to get done? Then look at your constraints. Who's telling you what you need to do? What financial resources do you have? What are your obligations? But once you understand the risk and your mission, your sense of purpose and your obligations, then take action. Start doing things. They don't have to be the things that you always did before. Take care of family, start a new project, learn to play guitar, study another language, read a book, write, create. It's a chance to do something different that you've maybe not done before. And then repeat.
And a really good point to catch is that I am delivering some insights on tools when most people are crippled. Meaning, onus probandi. There might be some evidence there to substantiate my beliefs that it's possible to achieve a personal Everest. Methinks. And it starts with getting the heck out of Scotomaville.